So nice, so comfy.
That's it.
Lewis, thank you so much for having me in your office.
Thank you.
Can you tell us where we are?
Yeah, so we're in our London briefing centre today, in a nice sunny UK for once. If they could see the view, then it's a good one. So this is home to our customer briefings that we hold throughout EMEA. My role is our Director of Workplace and Real Estate for EMEA. So we have around 6,000 employees at the moment, and we actually just went over our 18,000 employee mark globally. So it's kind of a nice milestone for us, especially during a pandemic. But super looking forward to this conversation.
Wow, thank you so much for having that conversation with me. You talked on the expansion. Have you seen the numbers continue to grow as they would have done before pandemic, or was there a slight change?
Yeah, it's a good question, because I think everyone's kind of wondering that in every organization, but we've definitely seen that we've continued to hire throughout the pandemic. I think we've taken opportunities in certain markets to really kind of pull on our brand and make sure that we can pull in the right talent. So we've been lucky enough to continue to hire thousands of people throughout the pandemic. So super exciting time for us anyway, especially in obviously our world right now.
Yeah, exactly. And our world has definitely changed over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And especially on that point, like every time we used to hire a new person, we need to find a space for one more desk.
That's it.
And now it's more ambiguous.
Yep.
How we correlate the growth of our people and the growth of our real estate.
Yeah.
How has it been influenced for you?
Yeah, so I think it's another good question that I think everyone's still trying to find out what's the right balance with that. And with our onboarding, we had a very robust process pre-pandemic where you came into a hub, you were shown the culture, physically in the office environment, talked to by various leaders. And when the pandemic hit, that just turned remote, super easy, everyone remained at home, speakers dialed in, etc. And they've continued that as we're kind of transitioning out of the pandemic. And I think we'll see, kind of what that turns into. But I think it'll go back to getting people into a hub, just from that cultural aspect, to kind of see it day one, come and meet their colleagues, and then really kind of ramp them up from there. But some people will remain remote in that kind of beautiful hybrid moment.
And that culture piece is something that it's still questioned. Like, was it happening in the office before? Was it happening just by being together? Or was there an intention designed almost inside the furniture, inside the wall that we couldn't really see, but it was there? And how is our team supposed to help translate that culture in a remote world? Have you been involved in the conversation about culture? Yeah,
so culture was massive for us, like pre-pandemic, and I think it showed up in the workplace, and that was naturally through people interacting because you came into it, right? And then pandemic hit, and we had to, kind of pick up that culture, and that manifested itself in our physical places with events, different type of cultural moments, socials. So moving that into Zoom land, and I think when it hit Zoom land, if everyone was a social person, you always met your friends every evening on Zoom. You went like to the polar opposite, right? And you were completely zoomed out. So I think now we've definitely we trialed that Zoom mentality, and we're now definitely bringing it back kind of physically in our offices with purposeful activations. And I think that's the key. We used to, in some locations, have a social every Thursday. Overkill. You're not getting really bang for your buck and being really intentional. So now with kind of what we're doing with cultural events, we're engaging leadership more than ever to say, hey, we're doing something in a month's time. Great opportunity for your team to come in, have your meetings, and then leverage this cultural event for kind of the moment that matters. And I've seen that has added value. And I think in the physical space, that's definitely part of the key. Yeah,
I think you got me at purposeful activation.
That's the key.
Heavy in intention, in baggage, in desire, in goals, because that's where the truth had came. Like, we think it was happening, but there was not like clear intention or purpose of us being together. Suddenly, it's going to be part of the package. That's the purpose of us coming together, and so people will be more on board. Because right now, and I think that's where we feel like we haven't really experienced hybrid, is that we are in transition.
But it takes effort. Effort. Before the pandemic, I look back and I'm thinking we were lucky that people were naturally here.
Exactly.
Right? In a physical space or even in a remote space, right? Whereas now it's like you have to put effort into it. You know, you have to be really kind of, once again, purposeful with that activation, whatever it is, to make the biggest impact for that employee coming in. And the beauty is they shouldn't even know. It should just be part of their work day when they're in, you know?
I couldn't agree more. I think we were very lucky. We were in a bubble. Like, you know, people would be in the office. You know, when you would come, you would meet all those people. You know, it would be very busy. And now it doesn't happen as easily. And we've seen that different groups of people are either missing it or they don't even know what it is, especially for maybe the new employees who join us. They don't know how it was before. Have you seen like differences in age group or gender or
I
types
asked the
of
team
people?
this the other day. So I said, we've just rolled out in April. April 1st was the offices are open publicly and everything like that. Before then it was kind of, you can come in and use it if you wish, whereas now we did a big push. So we did homecoming activations every week in April, right? And that might be seen by some as kind of like, you know, you must come back to the office. But it was a way of just reintroducing the culture back to people and saying, hey, you know, if you want to come in, try it out, see if it works for you, what's going on. And kind of coming back to the question, I asked the team, I said, who's coming in? Like, and why are they coming in? Like, we should be asking so many questions as workplace and real estate people now to understand why. And the age group was a mix, definitely a mix. Usual type of things, you know, I don't have a great working space at home, it's noisy, I've got family, all of the usual type of things. I want focus room, your focus space, and then it went all the way to I want collaboration coming into that space. But we really use that kind of homecoming activations as a cultural driver to say, hey, welcome back. This is how you use the space, because to your point, we hired thousands of people brand new. We get new people coming in. Hey, where do I go? All of that type of thing. So, you know, the engagement was upped.
And as you say, we need that reintroduction, because for 2 years we were blocked off from even accessing those offices. So we forgot that we used to have a focus room, we used to have like maybe a nap room, we used to have plans. Like, now what we know is that my focus room is my bedroom, my social place is the kitchen, or my like leisure time is in the living room where I'm reading a book. We forget that we had that in the office. So reintroducing it would tell us like, okay, what do I want to do at home? What do I do in the office?
Yeah, it's the education piece. And I'm big at the moment and really trying to think about it as your workplace brand. And let's say maybe workspace as well as workplace, whichever way you phrase it. But wording, I think, is massively important because it's very emotive, you know, at the moment with anything to do with office or work or wherever, you know. So kind of making your workplace brand is a tool to educate your new people coming in. I still think, and definitely your workplace brand will be a retention and an attraction tool that talent acquisition can use, especially, you know, work from anywhere, supporting that type of thing. So I'm big into workplace brand and how you frame it. Absolutely.
And I love it because it's actually show that our teams need to expand to new functions. Maybe we need a storytelling, branding, marketing team within the workplace to create the brand. And there's other functions that are joining us. What are you, like, what do you think?
So, you know, I think coming to that skills piece, but maybe before I get to the skills piece, creating like the employee experience holistically. So typically workplace real estate will either go into CFO or your CHRO. I think, in my personal opinion, CHRO is the way to go, because I think your employee experience org should be all together. So that's IT, HR, and workplace. And the reason I say that is, you know, yes, workplace looks after physically, but our job, I think, needs to go beyond the four walls and the HR drive the policies of where people go. IT enable it from a technology perspective. So having a holistic plan would be amazing. And I think that to some extent could be utopia because it's so, you know, it is a lot of effort. But if somebody was to get there, and I really believe if someone does, you'll have a better outcome for everything that everybody's looking for within their organizations, as opposed to, you know, going just thinking about it from a workplace real estate perspective.
Exactly. And as you say, like out of these three groups who will come together, I think we're still figuring out how to really incorporate technology.
Yeah.
Because we know we need data for us to make decision and informed decision. But even at the individual level, they need that information to plan their visit, to decide when to come, who else will be there, what's happening. Yep. And so information needs to flow to different people, and we're still trying to put the pieces together.
Yeah, I think technology, I think everyone scrambled when they realized, because workplace to some extent, and maybe looking outside of the tech world, has always been maybe underinvested, you know, from a business standpoint. So I get that I'm coming from a technology company, right, where we're obviously quite lucky. So speaking to my peers and things like that, where they weren't, you know, really trying to scrambling to have a technology that enabled people during the pandemic to come back safely with occupation, reservations and things like that. And now past that, trying to integrate your workplace technology with IT's Zoom or Microsoft Teams and, you know, electronic whiteboards, Miro, all of these things, right? It's tough. And I think I mentioned skills earlier, and I think in the workplace real estate world, our skill base needs to get bigger. You know, we're normally customer focused, but our tech skills and who we leverage, how we upskill our teams needs to change. So I'm always speaking to our teams in our development conversations. I'm right, hey, you know, let's look outside of the workplace world. Hotels, obviously hospitality, you know, private members clubs, especially like in London where they're massive, right? You know, what are they doing? You know, and why, how can they keep their membership base? Because whether it's a physical workplace, a third space, a co-working space, our employees are our members. So, you know, we want to encourage them and make them do their best work, you know.
And that's where the lines become very blurry between us and a fancy hotel or a fancy co-working space, because we didn't have to create that membership. We didn't have to create that sexy appeal. Like it was happening, people had to come, even if it was not written anywhere, because for many companies, we were already in that hybrid mode. Like people were free to come, but they were choosing to come every day. At a WeWork or at a coffee shop, you have to create constantly attraction for people to come. And that's now maybe the game we have to play also.
And I think like, I had to think about, you know, the other day around partnerships, you know, and I think partnerships are a big thing at the moment. So outside of workplace in fashion, right, you've got like Gucci, North Face collaborating. Like, this might be a completely bizarre thing, right? But like you've got like Gucci, North Face, which is like create their own brand. Like they should be maybe they are in different types of fields, but kind of have the same interests. So why wouldn't like me as a end customer of ServiceNow partner with a co-working space or a space as a service who does that job super well and it benefits both? So I think that's, and I think that does happen, but kind of how you promote that, coming back to the workplace brand, you know, WeWork was always known. So when I went to the business and said, hey, we can get you a WeWork, there wasn't a massive fight. You know, whereas if I went, hey, you know, you can go to another person who they've never heard of, it was a bigger sell. So if you have like a global partnership, a theatre, local partnership, you know, where everyone's kind of understands what they're getting, that's where me as an end user, it's highly beneficial.
And that expands the horizon for us. Like talking about partnership, like our assets were really offices, and now suddenly we need to think about partnership with co-working spaces, with hotels. When people will travel to visit an office, maybe there will be other assets. As you start thinking about it, what will be the titles of those people? Like, will you have a head of partnership inside the workplace team? What do you think will be the other titles that will join your team?
Oh my word, titles. You we can go for days, I think, can't we?
I love
on
it.
titles.
Head of future of work and remote and workplace.
You know,
the titles keep expanding.
Oh my
also.
word! Oh my word! Take your pick. Take your pick. I think you could come up with something random, as long as you sold it, you're okay, right? Like, but no, I think kind of coming down to the crux of it, it comes down to people may feel that, and I've definitely spoken to people where it's a little bit doom and gloom. You know, workplace real estate. It's, oh no, we're gonna have to shrink. You know, you might shrink, but if you make your space better quality, great. We will go outside of kind of our, you know, maybe models that we currently have to partner. And like partnership manager, I was thinking like relationship manager, right? You know, HR have had that business partner mentality for ages. We naturally have, but it's always been one part of our job. Like it's not, that's probably my biggest job in the role that I do looking after the theatre is dealing with the business. But, you know, why couldn't that be maybe my sole job, right? I've got a customer success. So once you come into a space, are you happy? How can we improve it? How can we iterate? And we do that, but on top of our day-to-day type of job.
Yeah.
You know, but I'd love one of those titles. I'd
what
love
would
it.
be your title?
Oh my word! I'll come back at the end. I think I'll come back at the end on that one.
I wanted to be head of future of work, and then I was like, what does it mean? Like,
but I even think that like a lot of people have that. I want something like a bit cooler and out there, like, you know.
At the very beginning of the pandemic, I remember seeing like heads of real estate and workplace all adding like remote work to their title. Workplace and real estate and remote work, and now it's like ways of working and how we work.
I think the way my brain works, and people probably at work get frustrated with this, but I just love like breaking down the silos. So even though you've got like head of remote work, head of future of work, it's like I want to be that job above it that like encompasses all of that strategy and frame it up.
So maybe that's the employee experience you were talking about.
Well, employee experience,
We start seeing a little bit of these titles emerging. I don't think every company has a employee experience function, but it's starting to form.
No, you've got obviously like your workplace experience managers, right? Which is, you know, just another name for maybe a workplace facilities manager. But I think that experience, once again, HR, IT, workplace, it really, I've got really strong bonds with HR and IT. So, you know, kind of putting them together, we do that naturally. But if you don't do that as an organization, I just don't think you're going to get massive value in all of your spaces.
Maybe that would be my last question. How do you see your team evolving? Shrinking, expanding, adding on those new titles? Where's the near future?
So once again, thinking about all of this. And I actually went last week on Convene's website. Because obviously they opened up at 22 Bishopsgate here. So I was like, oh, that's quite cool. And looking down their kind of job list and things like that, I like that concept, right? There is, coming back to the purposeful moments, the office needs to add value, right? It will not add value if you have one desk where someone comes in and works there. Might for some people, but not your vast majority. So where's the value? The value is, one, talking to the business, but definitely for ServiceNow, it's collaboration, it's having spaces like this, podcast rooms, big all-hand spaces that are dead flexible, hackable, those types of things. So coming back to the skill set, hospitality, coming back to the memberships, partnerships, everyone's a partner, you need to upsell, selling techniques, all of that type of thing. So definitely, upskilling in hospitality focus. I think the partnering aspect to your vendors needs to be up there, and I'd say definitely on the technology side of understanding it is massive. So with me, with all of the metaverse stuff that's going on and all of that, I'm super intrigued about that, and we shouldn't be afraid of that, because if we don't do it in workplace and real estate, someone's going to come and do that,
Exactly. And also it's aligned with what's happening. Like, we all have a digital experience before we have a physical one. Every time I book a hotel room or I choose to go to a restaurant, I'll check the Instagram before, I'll check the event, I'll go check out their website. So we know our natural tendency is to go first, check it out on the digital world before we enter a physical world. We need to
And that's because you want to get the most value and the best experience, right? So
I want to know what to dress, I want to know who else will be there, I want to understand the vibe, I want to understand how busy it is. It gives me all this little information that makes me understand what I'm up to, what I'm signing for.
because that's your, you know, you're choosing that location. We spoke about the hotel that you were staying in, right? And that probably suits your personality, you know, the vibe and things like that. So how do we as workplace people, one, get it right, like hit the right balance, because you can't please everybody, you know, and then make it appealing, you know? So it's an interesting time, but I think it's really exciting, really exciting.
Lewis, thank you so much for having me. It was such an amazing conversation.
Pleasure.
Hope to see you very soon again.
Absolutely. But no, big thank you from me. You know, I've watched your stuff for ages, so it's great that I finally made it, and look forward to the other ones.